want to explain to us what a share recall is? I know it's been scheduled for 420 thanks to some legend in the GameStop board. Do you want to explain to us what it is and kind of what it means in this context?
Yeah, so the the shareholders meeting for GameStop is in June. I can't remember the exact date in June, like June 16th, somewhere around there.
As far as I'm aware, it's the
And
ninth.
oh yeah, and so in order to be able to qualify to vote, use your shares to vote, you have to be in physical possession of them. In I use the term physical when we're talking about digital shares that trade back and forth. But if you are a big fund and you want the ability to vote for CEO or for the way that the company's going to largely head, you need to recall your shares. That means everyone who has borrowed your shares to short needs to find some and get them back to you and repay their loans. Otherwise, you don't have the ability to vote. And usually, when it comes to voting, most corporations don't seem to require to be a physical holder of those shares. There's oftentimes when votes happen, corporations will see more votes than there are actual shares of their company, which is a good sign that there's been naked shorting going on. And there should only be 69 million ish shares that have voting power for GameStop. But my guess is even with the share recall, we'll see tens of millions of more voters than should be existing. So the share recall can trigger a squeeze of sorts in that these shorts have to go out, find the shares because they're being margin called essentially, and return them to their borrowers or their lenders. Sorry.
So we might all get a vote on the board in the board meeting. How many people do you think they're capable of hosting in one board meeting? Are they gonna let me vote on things with my one share?
I would love to see just every single pixel on my screen a different person. But
It'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
it would
So
look like
there's yeah.
seriously, it look like a Technicolor snow pattern for your television.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. Maybe it would look like one of those, images that's made of a whole bunch of other images.
Yeah,
Maybe if we
exactly. Yeah.
coordinated it perfectly, we could get it to draw a rocket or something.
All right, yeah, frames 69,000 through 420,000. You're wearing red. Yeah.
Yeah. That would maybe work. But so a lot of people have said that this should trigger a squeeze because the shares will be forced to buy back or to cover shorts because we have to find the physical share. So what you're saying is that that's not necessarily the case, and that's why potentially we haven't seen the sort of movement that a lot of people were predicting this week.
Yeah, I know Vanguard has recalled theirs. BlackRock hasn't yet. BlackRock has 9 million shares that they think they own. That should make a significant difference. So, one of the things I read earlier this week was that BlackRock hasn't done a recall because they're scared that not enough rules have passed through the DTC to protect them from liability if the squeeze goes bonkers and Citadel gets drained and the other members of the DTC have to pony up cash to help cover that. So, I'm not sure. BlackRock maybe have some liability anyway, even if they don't recall, because Vanguard owns lots of shares. Other index funds and mutual funds own shares and want to be able to participate because GameStop right now is like the most bonkers stock you can own. Like, well, why wouldn't you want to be able to be like, okay, I want to vote on whatever they're going to be presenting to either make
Yeah.
this thing rocket more or to stabilize.
So a lot of the things that I've seen as well has been people talking about this idea of dark pool trading, and for me at least, I've been looking at it for about a month, trying to figure out how we can get screwed on this, and whether it's possible for whether if we're believing the theory that the hedge funds have not yet covered their shorts and they're hiding them through some sort of creative mechanism, and then we assume that they're trying to do a lot of trading in these dark pools, as people have put together various DDs on this. I'll link some in the description. So is it like a possibility that they could use the dark pools to cover their shorts without ever touching the official market? Is that like a realistic possibility by your understanding?
Um, I think there is a possibility there. My issue is I don't think the dark pool is trading legitimate shares. I
Okay.
think most of the legitimate shares are being held by the retail side, and the big funds have synthetics that have been generated as a result of lending out their shares. I think the dark pool is largely counterfeits. Um, because
Hmm.
the volumes and the numbers being traded, there are days where 1 billion shares in the dark pool will bounce back and forth between these hedge funds, and that's just not possible. Like I don't care how fast your trading computers are, there's still some human on the other side who has to do data entry, and you know there are clearinghouses that have to like balance these books, and I just don't think it's possible for the 45 million existing shares to have such high furious volume bouncing back and forth between these funds that uh, that the dark pool market is legitimate. I feel that it's mostly shenanigans in order to keep the price low at the for reporting at the end of the day. The dark pool is just one fund talking to
Hmm.
another fund like, hey, uh, I'll sell you this for this price, and that other fund's like, okay, and they just swap it back and forth, and it's it's one of those things that I think that ultimately Congress, the SEC, and the clearinghouses will probably have to address after uh, the MOAS, after the mother of all squeezes, uh, because it's not fair to retail traders if they don't have access to such markets, right? Like it's one thing
Hmm.
to be able to go on to Fidelity or Robinhood and trade a share, but if 99% of the market is unavailable to you because it's one giant fund trading with another giant fund on the IEX or something else, uh, that really hurts the retail trader if what they're doing really has no effect upon the price of a share, the value of the share. If Robinhood or Webull gets shut down for some reason because they don't have enough liquidity for their to make their trades, then all of a sudden only hedge funds get to trade on some market that they're only allowed on, and not retail traders like the IEX. Uh, I think in the future we're going to see rules come out about how these trades are done, how they're regulated, if they can be done. Uh, so the whole point of the over the counter market, the OTC, was that stocks that aren't on one of the big major markets like the New York Stock Exchange or the Nasdaq and such can still be traded. And but if you are taking shares that should be traded openly on the market and putting them in the back alleys of Wall Street, doing weird stuff with them, uh, that's sketchy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole concept is a little. I still quite haven't got like my head totally around the idea of it. Like, do you want to give like like an explanation of what the dark pools are from your understanding for anyone who's sitting here being like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, the dark pools are sort of one-on-one negotiations between two big funds, and uh, one may call the other and say, "Hey, I've got these. You want to trade?" And it could be trading for cash. It could be trading for other shares of stock in different companies. So I'll sell you two GameStops for one Microsoft, and they do some sort of swap that way. And the thing is that they don't have to report the prices they did these trades at until the end of trading day. So oftentimes you'll see uh, uh, the trading day finishes, and half an hour later, some huge spike of 1 million shares will appear in the after hours market, and that will be a dark pool reporting. But even
Hmm.
then, a lot of the OTC market never gets reported. It only gets reported in the OTC market reports days later. There was some great research done by someone last couple of weeks that was finding that Citadel had over 1 billion shares of GameStop that they were trading specifically on the OTC, and there were other funds that had hundreds of millions of shares as well that they were just trading back and forth and not reporting to NASDAQ at the end of the day every day. I'll try to find a link for you, and maybe you can add that to your description of the video.
Yeah, that sounds shot. Like, they were trading like billions of shares again.
Billions.
I still can't
Yeah.
get my head around like how this is possible, because as we talked about last time, and you kind of mentioned there is only estimated to be officially like 50 million shares or so in circulation, like official share, like real shares. So how can it be that we're seeing the trading of billions, given that, I don't know, the estimates vary as to how much retail investors actually hold at the minute, but it's definitely like a 10 million plus. So those shares aren't being touched. Technically, they should be just sitting in the the broker accounts or whatever of all the retail investors. And then so like, where is all this coming from? Is it just like back and forth high frequency trading? Is it like a stupid amount of synthetic shares, or what do you think?
Yeah, I would think it's probably these synthetics, these counterfeits being generated or being sold naked. Citadel is its own market maker. They can generate counterfeit shares whenever they want and sell naked. The idea behind these counterfeit shares was never to create such a gross mass of fake shares that it basically destroys the stock price of anything, because there's such a glut on the market. And in the entire nature of this squeeze that we're in is that retail traders have gotten wise to it, and they're just refusing to let go of their own shares. So the market makers are trying to, I think, sell more naked shares in an attempt to drive it down, and we're just gobbling them up. So, how this dark pool OTC billions of shares trading generally affects the rest of us, I'm not like, if it's not getting reported, then how can it affect the price? If it is getting reported somehow, why isn't it affecting the price? So,
yeah,
whatever sketchiness is happening in the OTC with GameStop, I think is kind of weird, and I don't quite understand it myself. How can these billions of shares be bouncing back and forth, and why, and who's letting it happen, and how is it really affecting us, are things I can't answer. I don't know.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, or sign up to our mailing list. Thanks a lot to our sponsor, ExpressVPN, the #1 most trusted VPN. Get lightning fast connectivity with servers in 160 locations across 94 countries. Keep your browsing privacy safe with ExpressVPN, and get a 35% discount on 12 months of ExpressVPN when you follow the link in the description below. Don't forget, my book is now out and available to order on Amazon and on bookshop.org. That's Brexit, the Establishment Civil War. And most importantly, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.